Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Tonight we lurk in the shadows, where whispers echo with the weight of untold stories, stories born from dread and steeped in the icy chill of the unknown. We're diving deep into the heart of fear itself, exploring the chilling tales whispered among those who have served. Places where discipline and bravery are tested not only by tangible threats, but by the spectral horrors that linger beyond the veil. So dim the lights, lock your doors, and prepare to be drawn into the abyss as we explore 3 terrifying ghost stories from military bases around the world. These are the tales that haunt those who protect us, the stories that keep them staring into the darkness, wondering what lurks just beyond their sight. Picture this, a desolate landscape, wind whistling through shattered windows, the air thick with the metallic scent of decay. This is no ordinary ghost story, my friends. This is where the veil thins, where the spectral realm bleeds into our own. We venture tonight into an abandoned military base, a place forgotten by time, but forever scarred by the echoes of its past. Years ago, it buzzed with life, a symbol of strength and security. Now it stands silent, a skeletal monument to a forgotten era. A group of thrill-seeking teenagers, drawn by rumors of paranormal activity, dared to venture into this forgotten fortress. They sought adventure, a brush with the unknown, but what they found was far more sinister than they could have ever imagined. The leader of the pack, a headstrong young man named Jake, laughed off the creeping unease that settled over them as they crossed the rusted threshold of the main gate. The air grew heavy, the silence deafening save for the crunching of their footsteps on the overgrown path. The deeper they ventured, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. Whispers seemed to dance on the wind. Shadows shifted at the edge of their vision. They pressed on, their youthful bravado a thin mask over their growing fear. Then the laughter died in their throats. A blood-curdling scream shattered the silence, echoing through the empty buildings. It was Emily, Jake's younger sister, her face contorted in terror, her finger pointing to a shattered window in one of the dilapidated buildings. There, staring back at them, a spectral figure materialized. A soldier. His uniform tattered and torn, his face obscured by shadow, but his eyes burned with a cold, otherworldly light. Panic gripped them. They stumbled back, their bravado forgotten, their blood turning to ice. Jake, his heart pounding in his chest, grabbed Emily's hand and they ran as fast as their legs could carry them. The chilling image of the ghostly soldier seared into their minds. They didn't stop running until they were miles away, the abandoned base a distant nightmare in their rearview mirror. They never spoke of what they saw that night, but the memory lingered, a chilling reminder that some places are best left undisturbed. But the story doesn't end there. Oh no, my friends, the terror followed them home. Sleep became a torment, plagued by nightmares of the ghostly soldier. Emily's laughter was replaced by a haunted silence, her eyes reflecting a terror that chilled her family to the bone. The abandoned base held on to them, its icy grip tightening with each passing day. And so they sought help, desperate to escape the haunting presence that had invaded their lives. Their search led them to a renowned paranormal investigator, a woman known for her unwavering courage and her ability to communicate with the other side. She listened intently to their tale, her eyes filled with a mixture of empathy and grim understanding. She knew the darkness that clung to them, the unseen force that tormented their waking hours and haunted their dreams. The investigator agreed to help, drawn to the raw terror that emanated from their story. And so, armed with her knowledge and her unwavering determination, she ventured into the heart of the abandoned base, ready to confront whatever evil lingered within its decaying walls. Our next tale takes us to a remote military outpost nestled amidst a desolate landscape where soldiers stood guard against unseen enemies, both real and spectral. The barracks, a long, low-slung building, bore silent witness to generations of soldiers who had passed through its doors. It was within these very walls that a palpable sense of dread permeated the air, a darkness that seemed to seep from the very foundation. Soldiers whispered of strange occurrences, unexplained noises, and fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures lurking at the edge of their vision. One particular room, room 13, had earned a sinister reputation. It was said to be haunted by the tormented spirit of a young soldier who had taken his own life within its confines. New recruits, their youthful arrogance a shield against fear, scoffed at the stories, dismissing them as mere superstition. That is, until they found themselves assigned to room 13. Private Michael Thompson, a fresh-faced recruit eager to prove himself, drew the short straw. He tried to mask his unease as he entered the dimly lit room, its stale air thick with the weight of unseen presences. The other soldiers, their faces etched with a mixture of amusement and pity, watched as Michael unpacked his belongings. "Don't let the bedbugs bite," one of them chuckled, his words heavy with double meaning. Michael forced a smile, but his blood ran cold as he noticed a strange chill in the air, a localized drop in temperature that seemed to emanate from the very center of the room. As night fell, the barracks fell silent, the only sound the soft snores of exhausted soldiers. But Michael found sleep elusive. He tossed and turned on his bunk, his mind racing, his senses on high alert. A low hum seemed to vibrate through the room, growing in intensity with each passing moment. Suddenly the temperature plummeted. Michael's breath formed icy clouds in the air. He could feel his heart pounding in his chest, his body trembling uncontrollably. And then he saw it. A faint, ethereal glow emanated from the corner of the room, slowly taking on the shape of a human figure. The ghostly apparition, its form indistinct but undeniably present, seemed to float above the ground, its eyes burning with a cold, hollow light. Michael watched in terror as the figure glided towards him, its movements fluid and silent. He wanted to scream, to run, but his body was frozen in place, paralyzed by fear. As the ghostly figure drew closer, Michael could feel an icy breath on his skin, a whisper of despair that seemed to penetrate his very soul. And then, as quickly as it had appeared, the ghostly figure vanished, leaving Michael trembling in his bunk, his mind reeling from what he had just witnessed. Chapter 3. The Ghostly Soldier. Our final tale takes us to the battlefields of war, where the line between life and death blurs and the spirits of fallen soldiers linger among the living. It is a story passed down through generations of soldiers, a chilling reminder that some wounds run deeper than flesh and bone. The legend spoke of a lone soldier, his face hidden behind a tattered gas mask, his eyes glowing with an eerie, otherworldly light. He was said to appear on the eve of battle, a harbinger of death and destruction. Some believed he was the spirit of a fallen comrade, doomed to wander the battlefield for eternity, seeking solace that he could never find. Others whispered that he was a manifestation of the collective guilt and trauma of war, a specter of the horrors that men had inflicted upon one another. Whatever his origins, the ghostly soldier struck fear into the hearts of even the most seasoned soldiers. They spoke of encounters with the spectral figure, his presence heralded by a sudden chill in the air and the overwhelming stench of decay. Sergeant John Riley, a veteran of countless battles, had scoffed at the stories, dismissing them as mere superstition. That is, until the night he came face to face with the ghostly soldier himself. It was a night like any other, the air thick with tension and anticipation. The distant rumble of artillery fire served as a constant reminder of the horrors that awaited them come morning. John sat alone in his trench, a flickering candle casting long shadows across his weathered face. He thought he heard a noise, a soft whisper carried on the wind. He dismissed it as nothing, the product of his own overactive imagination. But then he heard it again, this time closer, more distinct. It was the sound of slow, deliberate footsteps approaching his position. John reached for his rifle, his heart pounding in his chest. He peered into the darkness, but he could see nothing. The footsteps grew closer, and John could feel his breath catching in his throat. And then he saw him. Standing at the edge of the trench, his silhouette illuminated by the flickering candlelight, was the ghostly soldier. He was tall and imposing, his tattered uniform hanging loosely on his skeletal frame. His face was obscured by the gas mask, but John could sense his gaze, cold and penetrating, boring into his very soul. John raised his rifle, his finger trembling on the trigger. "Who's there?" he croaked, his voice barely a whisper. The ghostly soldier didn't answer. He simply stood there, his presence radiating an aura of menace and despair. John felt a cold shiver run down his spine, and he knew in that moment that he was looking upon something truly evil. There you have it, my friends, 3 terrifying tales from the depths of military history. Stories that remind us that even in the most disciplined and courageous of hearts, fear finds a way to take root. If these tales of spectral soldiers and haunted barracks sent a shiver down your spine, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more journeys into the abyss. And if you dare, share your own encounters with the unknown in the comments below. Until next time, my friends, sleep well if you can.